As the old saying goes in baseball, when you have enough pitching, you go out and get some more. And I kind of feel like the same is true with offensive linemen. When you have enough offensive linemen, sometimes you need to go out and get some more, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles did. Despite still having Lane Johnson and Jason Peters, they decided to basically get Jason Peters as replacement by picking up Andre Dillard with the 22nd overall pick in this past draft. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I mean, Dillard's a really talented player, he really is, and also Jason Peters is definitely getting up there in age, so to get a replacement for him definitely is very valuable. I mean, he's 37 years old and also has an injury history, and that's also part of it. It's just that offensive linemen get hurt, so having a valuable backup tackle is also very important. It's definitely a good move to not just plan for the present, but also plan for the future, and having Dillard and Johnson on both sides of that offensive line can definitely be very good. Like on this play, that's where he is on a screen, and this is only going to be a 3-man rush, but even with that, Dillard is responsible with one-on-one blocking that one player right over there. So one thing you're going to see is that number 3 right over there, the edge rusher, is going to put his left arm out to kind of just get right on Dillard's right arm right over there. He's sticking his left arm out, and when you stick your left arm out, that kind of makes you control the contact. That's what this edge rusher's idea is going to be here. So if you're Dillard, what's your plan here? Well, it would probably be to try to get your left arm onto your assigned man as well. You want to get your left arm basically on the shoulder pad. That would be ideal. So knowing this, what the Iowa State player is going to do is try to knock his arm out of the way, but look at how Dillard just stays with this. He does get his arm, but Dillard uses his footwork to continue going to that left side of the screen. So yes, he doesn't really have great hand placement as of right now. He can quickly get hand placement back, and now he's easily able to finish off this block. Hands are important, but so is footwork, and also being able to move your hand placement after the fact, and that's what he was able to do. It does take a lot to get someone's hand out of the way, but if you're Dillard, he kind of just let him get his hand out of the way, knowing he can get it right back. He showed off his quick hands there, and that's what led to a block. His ability to move his hands very quickly is definitely something that's very promising, and a large part of the reason why he was a first-round draft pick. Like, this one's another example, as he's right over there. If you notice, who the assigned man is very far up to the top half of the screen. He's far away, meaning Dillard is going to have to also move over to try to make sure that he can make this block. But notice how first he does have a good quick step to get over and get in decent position. So now if you're an edge rusher, what are you going to do? Well, one thing you're probably going to do is just continue running to that side of the screen. I mean, that was your idea going into this play, was to try to get around him. You still do have somewhat decent positioning, so keep going in that direction. But at this point, Dillard actually has an advantage of his hands, because he's going backwards. He could then just stop and lunge out, and it's a lot easier to do that than it is to get good hand placement when you're running as hard as you can forward, simply just because you can control the pace when you're the one going backwards like Dillard is. I mean, if you notice, Dillard basically gave up a yard right there. Look at how much farther he is back than any other offensive lineman. But he's okay with it because he now knows that he's not going to allow that man to get by him to the left side of the screen, and as you see, he doesn't. He is able to hang with him, and he's able to use his hands to push him off. It's just good confidence by Dillard more than anything. He knows if he does take that step back, he can then hang with that edge rusher and make sure he pushes him over to the top half of the screen. It's pretty fearless, and that's what you have to be sometimes if you're going to be successful in college, and it's definitely what you have to be if you're going to be successful in the NFL. But again, there's plenty of tackles that have quickness, just like there's plenty of tackles that have strength. But really, to be successful, you're going to have both, because if you do have a weakness, then opposing players can exploit that weakness consistently. But Dillard isn't just a speed guy, Dillard is strong as well, and take a look at this one. He once again has a one-on-one matchup, and notice what's going to happen. What the Iowa State player is going to do is run a little bit up to the top half of the screen, but kind of try to bulldozer his way over. He's initiating the contact, he's getting low. If you notice, his legs are very bent right here, and he's going to basically just try to push Dillard back. That's essentially all this play is. But again, watch how Dillard weathers the storm here. I mean, he just completely stops that edge rusher in his tracks. He does end up getting a help from a guard since it was just a 3-man rush, but he didn't need the help. If it was one-on-one, he still would have made that block easily, because he is a strong guy as well. He's not just a speed guy. And being fast and strong can benefit you in multiple different ways. Like on this one, it's a screen pass, where the way it's going to work is those two receivers on the top half of the screen are each going to go out to block 2 defensive backs, and then they'll just toss it over to that receiver right there who tries to pick up as many yards as possible. Nothing too fancy, but here's where Dillard comes in. His job is to get over and basically try to block that linebacker. That's what he's supposed to do on this play. And as I mentioned earlier, he does have good footwork, and look at how he is going to be able to run over and get in decent position right now. And notice I said decent. Not great, not good, decent. He's doing okay right now. It's a tough block to make because the linebacker was already 4 yards further down the field than Dillard is, and they're both running to the left side of the screen, so really Dillard doesn't have a lot of leverage to work with here. So that's where his strength is going to come in. Will he have the strength to make this block, despite the fact that it's going to be a tough block to make? And the answer is going to be yes, he is able to make this block. Not an easy play to make, but he did pull it off, and he was able to do his part in that one. And again, that's all that being an NFL player is doing your part. You don't have to be some expert out there, you just have to make sure that you do your role, and Andre Dillard did his role on that play. I already touched on his patience a little bit in that play earlier, but I want to bring it back up about this play because, again, it is really key and it is something that he can be very effective in. Once again, it's going to be one-on-one matchup, this time on the bottom half of the screen because, you know, they're going to the left side of the screen instead of to the right side of the screen. But the way it's going to work for Iowa State is they're actually basically going to try to fool Washington State here. So what they're going to do is have the edge rusher, who Dillard is in charge of blocking, basically drop back into coverage. But of course, they can't just have nobody over there in the bottom half of the screen because that would give up containment and allow Washington State to just have their quarterback run straight to the bottom half of the screen and have all day to throw. So instead, what they're going to do is have that interior lineman actually break out to the outside of the screen, and he's essentially going to be the edge rusher here. But again, what I like about this is, first off, look at how quickly Dillard realizes what's going on and realizes where he has to be. Again, very quickly. One thing that definitely could go wrong here is he could say, oh, that guy dropped back into coverage, it's only a 3-man rush, I should go double team somebody, but that's not always what you have to do. Because in a play like this, where there actually is going to be somebody breaking down to the bottom half of the screen, if Dillard went ahead to double team someone, that would actually give someone a straight shot to go over and try to tackle the quarterback. But because Dillard is still staying where he's supposed to be, this now means that can't happen. So then, by the time that the interior lineman does get over towards where Dillard is at, I mean, this is basically just like a regular play, except for the fact that it took 2 extra seconds for him to get there. Dillard's able to win his one-on-one block easily, but honestly, he didn't even have to win it that easily because the quarterback threw it basically just after contact even happened. It shows good patience more than anything. I mean, patience is something that can be very important in an offensive lineman from time to time, as you just saw, and it can be very effective, and it was very effective on that play. And I want to be clear on something, just because I said he has good footwork and also has good strength, doesn't mean that he doesn't have, like, just good offensive tackle strength. And he also does just have a good size for an offensive tackle at 6'5" and 315 pounds. That's pretty much exactly where you'd want to be. But anyways, what USC is going to do here is have an interior lineman actually run straight into Dillard over there, and then they're going to pull an edge rusher over to the top half of the screen. That's the way this play is going to work. So this now means that for Dillard, he has an interior lineman running straight into him, so it's going to be all strength here. There's no footwork, no technique, it's just who's the bigger guy. And okay, yes, obviously there is footwork and technique, but I'm just saying, for the most part, strength is going to be what's key here. Because if you notice that USC guy initiates the contact, and that's actually something that it's a nitpick I have on Dillard, is I feel like he needs to initiate contact more frequently. He kind of tends to let other players initiate the contact. He is definitely a little bit timid. He will often take a step back first, and he can get away with it because he is so strong and he is so quick. But you know, it's going to be a lot easier to do those things against a college defensive end than it would be to do it against Khalil Mack. But also look at the strength and look at how he's able to barely win this battle. He's a defensive lineman going full on against him, and he's still able to weather the storm and not allow a sack at all. I know it wasn't a dominant performance by any means, but you know, going one-on-one against an interior lineman who has good hand placement on you, it's not easy to weather that storm. But Dillard was able to there, and that's really key. But you know, just because he's a little timid isn't always a bad thing, and definitely can have its benefits. Like as of right now, here's what's going to happen. Like as of right now, he's going to be going up against a much smaller defender, and so basically the defender is going to have to try to get around him. If you have this much of a height and weight difference, there's no way that you're going to be able to power through someone. You have to go to the outside. Dillard knows this, so he's going to make sure that he doesn't allow him to get to the outside. Look at how far Dillard is back compared to everyone else. Look at how far back he is compared to the right tackle. It's very much so. So then he's able to simply just take one more step and easily push that player out of the way. That play is just too easy for him, essentially, because it is a smaller guy, but a lot of guys wouldn't be able to do this kind of thing. I mean, they would be able to physically, but they wouldn't have the confidence in their abilities to go so far to the outside. He has that lateral movement where he can sidestep very quickly, and it paid off there big time. I think getting an offensive lineman in the first round, a lot of people are kind of going to be like, oh man, why couldn't we get a wide receiver or a running back or a pass rusher or something? Offensive linemen are the least sexy position in the NFL. They're the least talked about position in the NFL, but they're one of the most important, if not the most important aspects of football, is having a good line. And having a guy like Dillard who is both so strong and has such great lateral movement, it can really pay off in big ways. And here's an example of that exact thing happening. And I actually think this play will also be a good example of showing how it can fit into that Philadelphia RPO style system, because what they're going to do here is it is an RPO, and they're going to leave that USC player completely unblocked on this one. Instead, Dillard is then going to move over and block the interior lineman, and you know, the idea is that the RPO is going to take away that edge rusher right over there. But for Dillard, it is kind of a tough play because he is going to have to move over, but also try to make a block just like he would if he was blocking somebody straight up. So that's kind of the toughest block in an RPO, is the left tackle moving over to block someone closer to the inside. But look at how with his first step and with his strength, he's easily able to get in good positioning. And now, I mean, it's just like he was a guard on this play. Really, if you just saw this still right now, you might think he was a guard and the left tackle disappeared. Okay, you probably wouldn't think that, but you know, he looks like he's a guard in this play is what I'm trying to say. Good block by Dillard. Dillard clearly knows what he's doing, and he's a big, strong guy who can also move very well, and that's a lot of what I like about him. As a whole, I like the move from the Eagles. I think the Eagles have gotten better on the offensive side of the football, and I'm looking forward to see how it plays out next season.